If you have seen my videos before, then you definitely should know about the sPOD switch system I'm running, because I've mentioned this thing in numerous videos, but I've never actually really done anything with the sPOD until today's video. We are going to be doing an upgrade to the sPOD, and this is one of the biggest reasons why when I installed the switch controller in my truck, I went with sPOD, because it has the ability to upgrade it without buying a whole brand new switch controller, having to buy multiple switch controllers. You can add units to your SwitchPod system, and I'm going to show you exactly what I'm talking about in today's video. So if you're interested in seeing what type of upgrades you can do with sPOD, you're going to want to stay tuned and see today's video. What's going on, guys? Welcome back for another video. If you're new here, my name is Chris. Right behind me, this is the Fortune Taco. And I already told you in the intro, but today we're going to be doing some electronics upgrades. And I'm going to be taking this sPOD switch controller I have. It's an 8-circuit switch controller. And we're going to be multiplying that. We're going to be adding a second brain to this system. And we're going to be making a 16-circuit switch controller. If you're going to be doing a build right out the get-go with more than 8 switches, or you know down the road you want to upgrade, you want to add more switches, sPOD might be the switch controller brand that you want to look into for doing an upgrade. So coming over to the table of goodies here, we have a whole plethora of things, but the main thing is going to look exactly like what you're seeing underneath the hood. But because it doesn't come with a switch controller, it brings the cost down. Obviously a little bit of differences, I'm sure over time they've just upgraded some design features. We are going to mount these two side by side. This system obviously has to get power and ground to power this unit, but then you just daisy chain these two units together. And then when we get inside the cab with the touchscreen, using that one touchscreen switch controller, I can control all 16 circuits from one panel. That's the big benefit. I would like to take a moment to thank sPOD. This video is sponsored by sPOD. They did send out this brain for me to make this upgrade possible, upgrading the Fortune Taco to 16 circuits. So if you're interested in checking out any of their switch controllers, I'll leave a link down below to the sPOD website where you can check out the sPOD switch controllers. On my own, I was doing some R&D. I made a couple different brackets here. This was one of my first gen designs. And then this is gonna be the final product of what I'm gonna be using to mount this. Over months and months of doing research and my own design work, I was able to make this bracket. This mount is gonna go just about here. And that's how we're gonna mount up the new sPOD system. So we're gonna be putting it back behind the air intake there, moving it away from this area. I'm gonna go ahead and get into assembling this. I need to take the switch controller out of the truck so we can assemble it here, put the new one on, put all the bus bars and circuit breakers, everything mounted up, so we can then move to getting this thing into the truck and then wire up this new system, connect it and test 16 functioning circuits with the new switch controller setup. This looks like a monster, but honestly, I love it. I love how it's coming together. Most of all, it is very unique looking, and that's what I love the most. It's a one-of-one. With it being custom, it's not just some part I bought, it's something I created, something I built, and I love that so much. We have the two brains that will be tethered to each other, so they can both be controlled from one controller. Direct battery power is gonna come to the circuit breaker. Circuit breaker power is gonna go over here to the bus bars. Bus bar will feed power to 1, power to 2, and then eventually down the road, a later on upgrade, I'm gonna add a second circuit breaker here that will branch off to that same bus bar. So this can be controlled from a second battery. This is controlled from the primary battery, and I could turn one off, turn the other on, and go back and forth depending on the power source I'm using. And then this bus bar down here is just gonna be a DRL lighting accessory bus bar. Run all my DRL lighting to one bus bar, and then that one bus bar will connect only to one switch. Say if I had 8 different lights that had backlight or DRL function, I wouldn't have to be wiring and stacking 8. I used this knowing that I might have multiple different backlight kind of lights. That was my whole thing with all of this. I wanted to just do a nice, cool custom setup, but make everything nice and clean, because when it comes to wiring, sometimes I can be lazy. And this was all kind of a little bit of a rat's nest hiding underneath stuff. I tucked it away so it looked pretty from the outside, but this is a mess. It needs to be cleaned up. All right, guys, so it is a new day. I ran out of time while doing a project on the truck as usual, but I have the mount and everything wired up, bolted. Things are all good to go, at least with the mount here. This big, fat, juicy power wire. So I do have to run the main power wire coming from the battery under the engine bay to the circuit breaker, and then a negative somewhere on the vehicle to this as well. So then this thing will be fully powered up and good to go. And then once we have this system all wired up and have some accessories wired to it, I can actually show you guys how a 16 circuit system functions. It's very similar to the 8 circuit, but I'm gonna show you guys how it works with the sPOD Bantam. Turned out pretty good. One thing I like too, it kind of just is nice and flush. It has all the same dimensions and angles as the intake box, and it kind of just fills up that void. So let me know what you guys think, at least just the aesthetics of how this looks, utilizing this big open space. Sometimes people put air compressors back here, but I wanna know in the comments from you guys, what do you think about this setup, bringing it over to this area as opposed to cluttering the battery side of the truck? Power and ground going to my new setup, running through the circuit breaker, running through those bus bars we talked about. And then I have one light accessory hooked up to this, one light accessory hooked up to this, just for a little bit of testing purposes. I think I already mentioned this in the beginning, this is not gonna be for everyone. But a couple reasons why you might need more than 8. You know, some people, they get a switch controller, they put 2 or 3 things on it. They think having more than 8 would just be ridiculous, but depending on what you're planning on doing with this, you might need more than 8. So I have a light bar in the bumper. We have the fog lights. Soon we're gonna be adding accessory lights here on the end. That's 3 right there. We have DRL functions coming from the headlights, going to a couple of those lights, that's 4. Ditch lights, we're putting it at 5, and these are multi-function ditch lights with up to 3 settings. So that's put me at 6, that puts me at 7. I'm now at 7 out of 8 switches. And then we come to the back, I have whips. That's putting me at 8. I have rock lights on the truck. That would be putting me at 9. I eventually want to get some of those new Nacho Nanos up on the roof rack. That'll be putting me at 10. Another thing I actually forgot, I have these chase lights here, the Baja Designs S2s. That's putting me at 11. I do not have it yet, but I will be getting a DRT rear bumper hopefully sometime soon. That is gonna have accessory lighting in the back of it. That'll be putting me at 12. Say I put some lights up on the roof rack, 2 on the passenger side, 2 on the driver's side. You can either flip a switch and just turn all of them on, or you can put the 2 on the passenger side on one switch, 2 on the driver's side on the other switch, so you have a left and a right control for your roof rack lighting. Say you wanna get a little more custom with your rock lights. Say you wanna put rock lights in the wheel wells all under the truck and whatnot, and you wanna do just the wheels on one circuit and everything else underneath the chassis on another circuit. You can do that. You don't really think about needing more than 8 switches until you start to add things to these trucks and make it more functional for what you need. Overlanding, camping, off-roading, whatever you're doing with your truck, having more than 8 circuits might be for you, but this is definitely not for everybody. I'm not saying everyone needs this. Now this is gonna differ depending on the setup you have. They do make a tactile click button system. So if you don't have the touchscreen set up with this sPOD, you will have to get multiple controllers, but if you have the touchscreen, if you guys can see up in this top left corner, it says sPOD, and right below that, there's a 1. If you swipe anywhere on the screen, swiping right, just like you're on a cell phone or a tablet, now my screen says sPOD 2. So we're on the second brain. All right, now don't mind my labels. They're from my previous setup. I'm gonna have to redo all of these, but the very first one, I just have some rock lights wired up for testing purposes. Click on that, and our blue line whips rock lights are powering on. And then we have the ditch lights over here on page 2. Switch 1 is one of the functions there. You can see that is lit up. Click on switch 2, and that goes into a brighter setting. So the first one was just kind of like a backlight for this ditch light. Second one actually puts it into more of a power mode. If you did not get to see my Nacho off-road lighting video, I'll link that right up here up top. These lights are crazier than any off-road light I've ever seen before. And that is it. We now have a dual function 16 circuit switch controller thanks to sPOD. This has been a very long project. It's been a lot of work I've had to put into this. So I covered a lot in this video, but if there's anything I missed, if there are any questions you have, drop a comment down below. I'd be happy to answer any questions you guys have, whether it's related to just a single sPOD, since I've been running that for a couple of years now, or the dual sPOD setup. If I can't answer your guys' questions, I will reach out to sPOD and I'll get the answer directly from them. If you guys enjoyed this video, please do me a huge favor, hit that thumbs up button. It helps this video be more successful to get seen by people just like yourself. If this is your first time seeing one of my videos, maybe you've seen a couple of them before, but you haven't subscribed to the channel, click that subscribe button. You'll be able to see anytime I release future videos right here on the channel. Thank you guys for sticking around all the way to the end. I appreciate you, and I hope to see you on my next video.